there, this is Jenny from the Sewing Palace. Today's short video, I'm going to teach you how to make the perfect pouch. This is a great pattern written by Lazy Girl Designs, and we'll go over the details and you'll learn how to make this pouch in a snap. To get started, you will need 2 fat quarters for the medium. If you're making the small, you'll need 1. There are 3 sizes included in the pattern. You want to purchase this pattern from a local quilt shop. It's called Perfect Pouches, and it's from Lazy Girl Designs. Again, you'll need some fat quarters. You'll also need some scraps of batting or fusible fleece, some thread, and then a smaller nylon zipper. You want to make sure the zipper is not metal teeth so that you can sew over it. If you're afraid of doing zippers, this is a great technique for doing zippers and you'll have success in the end. So it's a great way to get started. This featuring every size, you'll have all the cuts in the pattern. This one is the medium to give you a scale. It works great for holding quilt patterns and small toiletries. The large will hold a notebook, and then the small is great for little cords and things like that. So this is the medium size. That's what we're going to be learning how to make today in our short video. So let's get started with our pieces. So looking at our pouch, we'll use this for our cutting directions. There'll be one piece of fabric that makes the bottom of the pouch. There'll be a small piece here. Then there'll be a piece for the lining, and then a piece for the outside. These can all be the same fabric, or like in this example, I've used 3 different prints. So this will be the small piece that will go along the top. And then there'll be a rectangle. This is the only larger rectangle that you'll have. And this one will be like this. And then when you're picking your zipper, it's going to go in between these 2 pieces of fabric. So you want to pick one that you like that accents with these 2 fabrics. And then you'll have 2 squares that are exactly the same size, and they will form the backing, the fusible fleece, and then the lining. So in this example, again, I have 2 different fabrics, and you're going to line those up to make a little quilt sandwich. And you will set those aside. This will make the lining and the backing. So you're going to get your little quilt sandwich and set it aside. You could use fusible fleece, or in this example, I have a fusible fleece that's fusible on both sides. So once I made that quilt sandwich, I ironed it, and now both pieces are fused together. So then you could use that, or you could use scraps of batting. Our next step is working with the 2 pieces that form the front. So what you want to do is you want to fold them right sides together, kind of like a hot dog, and create a crease. So it is right sides together with a crease. That crease is just to give us a lineup for the zipper, for her easy zipper technique. And then for the large piece, you're going to do the same. You're going to fold it down and create a crease. And ensuring that you folded it the correct way, it should match in width to the small piece. So you can see both of these match in width. Therefore, I have pressed it the correct way. Getting started with my project, I'm going to be using 2 presser feet today. I'm going to be using a zipper foot. So for a Bernina, that is either 4 or 4D. And then I'm also going to just be using a regular 1/4 inch foot. You could also use your basic foot, but this is my 37D. I'm going to use the zipper foot when I go to install the zipper itself. And the first step to the zipper installation is we're going to install the piece of zipper on the accent piece on the top. So that is this small one. And your zipper is going to lay, this fabric is laying right side up, and this zipper is going to lay right side up as well. So when you're looking at a zipper, the side with the actual pull is the right side up. Now this is a 14-inch zipper, so it is going to extend beyond each side of the pouch, and I'm going to cut it off when I'm done. So that's why you don't want this to be metal, and we're going to sew over it to make stops. So that crease that I created is now going to form the edge where this edge of the zipper is going to line up to. So you want to kind of push that zipper into the fold, and then we will align the fabric up so that we're stitching along this edge. And I'll give you a close-up with the camera here in a second. All right, getting started, I'm going to install my zipper foot. So that is foot number 4D. On this machine, I'm going to put it on, and then I'm going to pull the dual feed down so that it is engaged in the back. When I'm looking at my screen, I'm going to switch the foot to foot number 4D if you have a Bernina. And then I'm also going to move the needle over. So you can see right now, the machine knows that the needle would strike the foot if it were to go straight down in the center. So I'm going to move the needle over to the left. The zipper is inserted into the fold. It is laying right side up. And my needle, when it drops down, is going to be really close to the edge of the coils of the zipper. I'm going to do forwards and backwards. And as I feed this zipper along, I'm going to push the zipper into that fold so it's straight. Once you're completed, you will have your fabric pulled away from the edge of the zipper and pressed, and we will top stitch this. Now I'm ready to top stitch, so I'm going to press my fabrics away from the zipper, and now I'm going to line up the edge of the zipper foot along the right side of the zipper so that when I'm top stitching, it's going to be going about 1/4 of an inch away through all of the layers. Now I'm ready to add the fabric to the other side of the zipper. So if you look closely, my zipper is hanging off each side. It is facing right side up right now. You might want to just run your zipper, make sure you didn't get any edges too close, make sure it operates no problem. And then I've top stitched so that the edge of the fabric stays away from the edge of the zipper and won't get caught later. This fabric in particular is directional, meaning that there are clouds and the top of the clouds is the top of the curve. So when I'm using this fabric in particular, I need to pay attention to how the zipper is placed. I'm also going to create that crease just like I did before. And what you want to do when you're using a directional fabric is audition it. So the other side of the zipper is lining along that crease. I'm folding it in half. And then when I top stitch that, I would be sewing right along this raw edge of the zipper. When you flip this out, you'll notice that when I pull that away, the clouds will be facing in the right direction. So you just want to pay attention to that on a directional fabric. Before I start sewing this, I do want to make sure that each end is even so that the first fabric is even on each side. Again, tuck that zipper into the fold and either clip it or pin it just like I had clipped it earlier. And then we're going to sew using our zipper foot. Now I'm getting ready to sew. I'm going to rotate my fabric so that when the needle goes down, it is close to the coils of the zipper. If I were to sew it the other direction, let's just take a look at that. When I go to sew that, when I drop the foot and start to sew, you'll see that the needle is on the left side and it's not close to the coils of the zipper. So you just want to orientate your fabric or your needle or your presser foot. Some machines move the presser foot to the other side so that when you start to sew, the needle is close to the coils of the zipper. And again, you're going to sew all along, tucking that zipper into the fold. Once you turn that right side out, you will pull up your top fabric. And what you'll have is your accent, your zipper, and then your bottom fabric. You're going to again press this fabric away on both the top and the back so that they're staying away from the zipper and top stitch. Now I have the front of my pouch completed and my zipper operates. I'm going to move on to the quilt sandwich that we set aside earlier. If you have used double-sided fusible, then both those pieces will be fused together. And what you want to do is you want to stitch a minimum of 2 lines to hold those together. So I'm going to stitch from point to point, and then again from point to point. I'm going to switch my presser foot to my 1/4 inch presser foot and just sew that real quickly. Now that I have both of those pieces completed, I will decide which fabric I want to face on the outside. If you had two different colors, that would be something that you want to decide which will be the lining and which will be the outside. On this example, I have the same fabric on the right side and the outside. So what I'll do is I will lay the fabric that I want to show on the outside right side up. So this is the one that's going to show on the outside. And then for my pouch, I'm going to open up the zipper a little over halfway, and I'm going to lay it right side down. That means the zipper coils and the pull will be laying right side down. And when you lay that down, it should be a little bit smaller than your backing fabric. So you can see I have extra hanging off here and here, but I'm even on the sides. My zipper is pulled to the center or a little over the center, and then I'm going to sew around the edge using this fabric as my guide. I can trim off this side and this side prior to sewing so I have a nice even edge to sew around. When you're sewing over the zipper coils, you want to go forwards and back because you're creating a new stop since I'm going to be cutting this end off. You'll do the same thing on this side. Let's get started. Now I'm ready to sew. I have added a couple of extra clips to hold my layers in place. I'm going to start right over here on this long side. I'm using my 1/4 of an inch foot as my guide, and that's going to line up right along even with the edge. I'm going to back tack, and then here I'm coming to the zipper. So I went forward and back there to create a stop. When you approach the corner where you want to pivot, you can reverse your stitch to secure those corners. And when you pivot, you want to pivot so that when the needle is down in the fabric and you lift your foot, you don't lose your place. So my needle is down in the fabric and I pivoted. This top fabric right here is what is my guide. This is my extra. So that's why I'm sewing just a little on the inside. The next step is I will trim around the edges of my pouch, and then you can either zigzag stitch along that raw edge or use an overlocker. I'm going to use my ruler to trim off my edges. You can see I just cut through the edge of that zipper. I'm trimming off the excess. Again on this side. And lastly on the bottom. For this to be machine washable without fraying, again you'll use an overlocker or a zigzag stitch to finish that edge. Looking at my screen, I do have a couple of choices. This is a zigzag stitch. I can adjust the width and length of the zigzag stitch as all the stitches are customizable. And I will want that width to just live in between the stitching and the raw edge. So let's go ahead and sew a little of that. You can also use this honeycomb stitch, which is a very similar stitch to an overlocker, or this stitch here. So I'll stitch a little of that so you can see that. When you come to the corner for these overlock stitches, you just want to gently turn the corner. They don't have to be perfect. So I didn't break my thread and I didn't pivot really. Taking a look at that overlocker stitch, this was my seam, and then right here is just a zigzag stitch, or if we look a little farther, here is the overlocker stitch. Both have a very good application, so whatever your machine can do, go ahead and use the overlocker or zigzag stitch or a serger. All right, now we're ready to turn our pouch right side out. You're going to open the zipper the rest of the way so that you have a easier time opening it. And then you'll turn your bag right side out. So I'm just kind of pushing those corners through first. Hey there, thanks for joining me in making a perfect pouch. The Lazy Girl Perfect Pouches pattern can be picked up at your local quilt shop or at the Sewing Palace. Have a great sewing day. Bye-bye.